Hey everybody, it's Dr. Khadisha, your board certified emergency medicine physician and best-selling author. With my best-selling book, Help Us Help You in the Emergency Room, the mini mobile MD kit made especially for this time for safety and prevention of infection with those highly communicable respiratory illnesses, and with the mobile MD kit, the comprehensive first aid kit, the only first aid kit you'll ever need. I help people feel better, be safer, and better prepared for emergent medical situations so that you save time, expense, and just the inconvenience of an unnecessary emergency room visit. And today I want to talk about winter warming safety. So thank you to the first person to join the live. Want to just give us a couple of minutes for some other folks to get into the room, and then we'll get started. I've got some very, really good tips to share with you guys. You might know it, so at the very least, it'll be a really good review of how to warm yourself safely during the winter and avoid fires. Because you know what? We lose as a nation about $2 billion a year due to damage from fires. I didn't know that, but the US loses about $2 billion a year in damages due to fires, due to home fires, fires at workplaces and things like that. So we really want to talk about that. And then, what really drove things home was this week, I'm in Houston, Texas, just knowing that whole families died in fires. There was a grandmother and 3 children who died in a fire. There was an elderly man who died in a fire, and I'm sure those were not the only fires that happened in Houston this week. A number of people suffered carbon monoxide poisoning, which is a very insidious ailment to take on, because it comes on starts with very non-specific symptoms. So I just want to go over these things. In Houston, I'll admit, things are really starting to look good. It's a beautiful sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. The streets all around look clear. I don't see any signs of ice or snow anymore. But we now know that it is possible for Texas and the Houston area to experience severe winter storms. So even though we made it through this week, we really do need to be aware and prepared for a possible next time, because it's greatly possible that this could happen again, especially with global warming. Things might become even more severe. So let's see. So with that said, please make yourself known in the comments. Just say hi, express any concerns, share some experiences. Definitely, join the discussion with me. I don't want to just sit here and spout off information. Okay, so just a few common sense things that I do want to share. So, while, everything's fine, you're not worried about a fire now, things might be just fine. Now is the time to do the most you can do about fire safety. When all is well is the time to do the most that you can do to be safe during a fire. So one simple thing you can do is gather your documents. Gather your documents. Make sure that you have them in a water and preferably fireproof container, so that if you can, and it's got to be portable. So a portable, sturdy, waterproof, and if possible, fireproof container, so that you can grab those things quickly and have them with you should an emergency occur. Because a lot of people do get in trouble with not leaving a home quickly enough because they're trying to gather valuables. Okay, so another thing is, and I'll if someone can put that in the comments, I greatly appreciate it. Or I'll just and make copies of documents. It's you can never have too many copies. You know, if each family member has a copy, you know, of whatever, birth certificates, shot records, things like that, driver's licenses. Make sure that everyone has maybe even the primary care doctor's phone number, things like that, that the kids have the phone numbers of godparents or neighbors who are willing to take them in should the parents not be available. They should have that in their phone, things like that. Another thing you can do now is start to have fire drills. Maybe have a fire drill every couple of months, so that folks know what the two best ways are to get out of the house. You should always have two ways out of the house should an emergency occur. So know where to go once you do get out as well, and then know how to keep in touch. So, you know, if everyone has to have, you know, a cell phone, or if the kids can, even the kids, I don't know, maybe a cheap phone, or, you know, if you can get your kids to only use the phone in emergencies, that would be great. So that, you know, if you guys are separated in the instance of household emergency, you know how to get out of the house, you know where to go, be it, you know, the next door neighbor a few doors down, you know, whatever, the leasing office, the fire station across the street, things like that. Know where to go, and then have a way to get back in touch to check in. Okay, so that first thing was also gather your documents, birth certificates. I know we're worried about those social security numbers and things like that, but yeah, driver's licenses, shot records, things, ID cards, things like that. Note, have the doctor's phone numbers in your wallets or backpacks, things like that. Okay, and then have those. So yeah, have the fire drills, have the documents in a portable, easily carried fire or waterproof container, and, you know, maybe have a couple of those. Also have an emergency kit with you as well. So, you know, because a number of people are in shelters, were in shelters or warming centers because they had nowhere to go when their power went out, and the hotels were completely booked in Houston. Like, even I, after finishing my shift, you know, you're looking forward to going home, but not this week. This week, I didn't know where I was going to go. I was on the phone for the longest time with with a place like Travelocity or something like that, trying to find a hotel room where I could stay until my power came on. And that backup strategy was completely gone. The hotels that had power were completely booked. So you got to have a backup plan. Know of other people, or to go to other places to stay if hotels are not available. Okay. So that's another tip. There. But yes, definitely have an emergency kit. And in that emergency kit, you know, again, have copies of your driver's licenses, or, you know, even if you're not a driver, they have non-driver's ID cards that you can carry with you. So just because a person doesn't drive, that doesn't mean that you can't have official ID. So having official ID would be great, passports, but non-driver's IDs are probably easier to get, easier to carry. So have those, maybe have some cash in that kit, have some bottled water in there. And if you have any medical conditions like asthma, something like that, have, an extra inhaler in there. If you have really bad allergies, have an EpiPen in there. If you have, little ones, maybe have some diapers in there, have feminine products in there, other toiletries, things like that, just in case you have to get away and get to a shelter. And just in case you have to be at a warming center or a cooling center, something like that in the case of an emergency. Also, especially if you're able, have a great first aid kit. Have a comprehensive first aid kit like the Mobile MD kit. In my first aid kit, I've got eye wash, just in case while you're trying to get out of a fire, some debris gets in your eye or something like that. I've got things in there like eye wash, things like that, gauze, medication or a material called bleed seeds in case you cut, for cuts that won't stop bleeding, things like that. Have a good first aid kit in your possession that everybody knows about. Okay, so get your documents together in a sturdy container. Have 2 ways of getting out of your house in case one has flames or one, the door is too hot or the window's too hot. Also, another thing with homes, if you do any kind of painting, sometimes paint can seal the windows shut. Make sure that your windows open and close easily. Make sure that the doors that you're considering using are also easily opened and closed. Some people have doors that require keys to get out, where you're locked in from the inside. I know it's a bit old school, but they're still out there. Have folks know where the keys are to get in and out of these doors, things like that. You can also put that in your emergency kit as well. Okay, so just things like that. Also, and then another thing you can do, again, like I said, the best time to prepare for a fire or to be safest for a fire is when there's absolutely nothing going on. Another thing that you can do is make sure that any flammable furniture or materials are at least 3 feet away from any heating devices or electrical sockets. You definitely want to make sure that that you lower your risk of a house fire as much as possible, because now is the time. Now is the time. And I know that during the wintertime, candles are tempting also. We love candles. We love the way they look. We love the way they smell. But you have to make sure that you don't leave those kinds of candles, those open flame candles, unattended, or any other kinds of flames. There are, I hear that there are battery operated candles so that you don't have to necessarily have a candle with a flame. Those are considered safer. Okay, and let's see, and if you have any, let's say, gas appliances outside the house for some reason, I think generators might be an example of that. Make sure that they are at least a few feet away from the house. I think it might be 30 feet away from the outside of the house, just to make sure that the darn generator doesn't lead to a fire. Okay, also have your chimney or fireplace inspected every year, inspected and cleaned. every year just to make sure that there's no debris that could make a fire go out of control when you decide to use your lovely chimney or fireplace. Make sure that the flue is inspected. That's the tube, the open area that leads from the fireplace to the chimney. Make sure that is clean, because you know why? You really don't want to be using paper or flimsy flammable materials to start a fire. You really want to make careful use of wood and and then like the other I forgot what you call it. It's that you sprinkle on. You might sprinkle on a grill or something to start a fire. And really, really important is check your smoke detectors. Everyone should have smoke detectors in the home, and have a smoke detector in every bedroom and in the hallway and on every level of the home. Make sure that the battery is working. You can all smoke detectors have a way of testing them to make sure that they're working, without having them like officially go off. So make a habit of changing the batteries in your smoke detectors, every so often, maybe every 6 months. And now here in Houston, now that we are really a lot more aware of carbon monoxide poisoning. And I mean, I was aware of it. I'm from the Mid-Atlantic area, but being down here and experiencing it with people who are not so familiar with it, definitely get a carbon monoxide detector in your home, just to lower your risk of carbon monoxide poisoning, because things that you're doing that seem relatively harmless to warm yourself inside the house could actually increase your risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. Of course, sitting in the garage with the garage door closed, turning on the car to warm things up, you think it's a harmless, decent idea. You're in a nice enclosed space, so it should get warm pretty quickly. You're sitting in the car, but that can increase carbon monoxide. And I mean, that's actually the way some people might decide to harm themselves or commit suicide, by doing that very thing. That is how harmful carbon monoxide poisoning can be. Also, when you're in the home, you can suffer from carbon monoxide poisoning in the home, say from, a poorly working heater, or having the oven running for, too long, and you don't have good ventilation. Make sure that when you're running certain appliances that you have good ventilation. And I know, it's commonly said to turn on your oven, open the door, put it on, a certain temperature, and that's a great way to warm up the house. But that's not the safest way to warm up a house. You definitely have to be present to watch any use of an oven, be it for cooking or for trying to warm up the house. You have to be present while it's in operation. Okay, so I got comments. So, hey, Victoria, thank you so much for coming on. Yes, I am well. Houston, I haven't been outside yet, but Houston looks like it's back to normal. No signs of snow, ice. There's not a cloud in the sky. So, hey, I made it through this week, so I can't complain at all. I cannot complain. Can't complain at all. And I hope that you and everyone else is doing well. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, so we were just talking about ways to be safe as far as warming up, especially during the winter when we are at increased risk of house fires that kill multiple people every year. And it's not just in areas where people aren't used to being cold. I remember just horrible stories while in med school in Baltimore of multiple people, literally whole families dying in house fires just about every winter. Just horrible, horrible tragedies due to home fires. So we're just going over some tips, and I want to let you know that you don't have to write everything down or just think that you can just look it up later. I've put together a PDF that my team has been working very hard on for the last couple of days to get to you. And hopefully today will be the day that that PDF is available. And all you have to do is go to mywintersafety.com, mywintersafety.com. And I'll put in its, let's see here. And I'm not sure if this makes a difference. So get that PDF at that address there, mywintersafety.com. Okay, so great. And it's got, and it has information from all of the Facebook Lives that I've been doing. Right now, this is the third of a series of winter safety discussions that I'm having to help us get through the winter without any illness or injury that is greatly preventable. And I want to help prevent those illnesses and injuries so that you are more likely to stay out of the ER, because there is no room. There's no room in the ERs right now. COVID is still a major, major, major concern. The pandemic is ongoing and beds are full. The staff is tired. You do not want to be in the emergency room if you don't have to. If there's a way that you can prevent an illness or injury, then definitely do so. And preventing house fires and carbon monoxide poisoning is a wonderful way to remain safe and out of the ER and help keep some free time to yourself, keep your money in your pocket, and avoid the inconvenience and stress of being in the ER worrying about being exposed to various illnesses. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else that I need to impart to you before you get that fantastic PDF. So just know that carbon monoxide is a danger because it's odorless, it's colorless, but it's life-threatening. Hotels should have them, vacation rentals should have them, bed and breakfast should have them. And just so, especially when you're doing the winter travel does increase our risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. So what are some symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning? Okay, so low-level exposure can cause headaches, sleepiness, fatigue, confusion, and irritability. Okay, that's just low-level exposure. Headaches, sleepiness, fatigue, confusion, irritability. At higher levels of carbon monoxide exposure and poisoning, you can experience nausea, vomiting, an irregular heartbeat, so like a racing, irregular heartbeat, where it feels like your heart might be skipping beats. Your vision might become impaired. Your coordination might become impaired. And this is like the most severe symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. For it. So that's why carbon monoxide poisoning is so dangerous, because it's colorless, odorless, and the symptoms of the poisoning are very, very non-specific, very non-specific. Okay, so, and I know I mentioned heaters and, running the car in the garage and things like that, but it can also come from gas appliances and heating systems, as well as portable gas generators. That's another reason why you should keep the generators about 30 feet away from the house. If you have snow blocking tailpipes from your car, blocked heating or dryer vents, portable room heaters, things like that, blocked chimney flues, malfunctioning heating systems, things like that. Those are all sources of carbon monoxide. So what can you do? Clear the snow from heating and dryer vents and car tailpipes. Don't idle your car in the garage. Be careful of the remote start engines that could turn on by mistake. Periodically inspect your chimneys and heating systems to prevent blockages and open flues when using your fireplace. And only use generators outside. I didn't think anyone would bring in a generator inside the home, but the generator should be at least 25 to 30 feet away from all structures and openings. And while it's a very common practice, it is advised that the Department of Health definitely advises not using the stove to heat your resident, or and it's not recommended that we use charcoal burning devices or hookahs inside the home, inside any camper, or inside any tent. Now, say you're traveling. Say your power was out and you were able to find a hotel. Ask about the hotel's carbon monoxide detector policies, including detector locations when staying in hotels or apartments or other people's homes. Take your own battery operated carbon monoxide alarm with you, especially if you're staying with folks who tend to do some risky or wacky things to stay warm. If such a detector sounds its alarm at home or in your accommodations, listen and act fast, because that alarm means that there's a significant amount of CO or carbon monoxide in your presence. So, if you do suspect carbon monoxide poisoning, if you feel ill, get outside to fresh air right away. You should start to feel better as soon as you're away from the source of the gas. But get help immediately if you suspect someone was exposed by calling the local poison control center. It's a 800 number, 1-800-222-1222. That's our National Poison Control Center. If someone's unconscious, not breathing, hard to wake up, or seizing, then call 911 and then call poison control. So I'll type that into the chat. So call the Poison Center if you have any concerns at all. They are going to be the most easily available entity to get in touch with. It's the Poison Control Center. But again, if someone is seizing, unconscious, hard to arouse, meaning hard to wake up, call 911. Okay. So what if you are caught inside of a fire, though? Okay, and there's carbon monoxide associated with fires as well. What you need to do is, know those two ways to exit the home, and get low, and get out. That means get close to the floor, because the smoke tends to linger well above the ground. So because a lot of poor people who die in fires, they typically succumb to smoke inhalation first. So you want to avoid smoke inhalation and get out of the house. Crawl if you have to. Cover your mouth and nose. I guess the masks come in handy now, because your mouth and nose should be covered, and you crawl out of the house and do not go back in for any person, animal, or thing. So, get low, crawl on the floor on your way out, and hey, you should have that sturdy portable container containing all your documents and maybe some cash and your IDs, the family IDs. Grab that and get out of the house if that is easy for you to access. Okay, so, and then again, you know, once you get out, don't go back in for anything else. And if you lose track of someone, have a way to keep in touch so that you make sure that everyone is in a safe place. Okay, so here's the number for the National Poison Center. Give them a call should you ever suspect any kind of carbon monoxide poisoning, be it a low level or high level. And call 911 though if a person is has a loss of consciousness, any change in mental status, or if they're hard to awaken. But again, for this information, you can get my PDF. Just go here to www.mywintersafety.com right here. And it will discuss that PDF is, well, actually, it's like an ebook now. It'll discuss the winter driving safety discussion that we had. It'll discuss the winter walking safety discussion, and it will discuss the winter warming safety discussion of today. So I hope you got a lot out of that. At the very least, it was some kind of review for you. And please hit like, please hit share, and I'll see you next time. Because again, I'm Dr. Khadisha, your board certified emergency medicine physician. Follow me on Instagram at dr_Khadisha_MD and get your comprehensive first aid kit. The mobile MD kit is the only first aid kit you'll ever need. I think I'm going to do an unboxing video coming up, and just make sure that the whole family knows the importance of safety of winter walking, driving, and warming. Safety, because the life you save could be your own. And this is Dr. Khadisha. Until next time, bye.